Naruto ran as fast as he could, leaping from tree to tree as he followed the loud clouds caused from Deidara's explosions. Damn, they are already pretty far away from me, Naruto thought as he continued to sprint forward at full tilt. So, Naruto, Ryuk said as he flew beside the blonde. What exactly are you planning to? So once you get that redhead, huh? He's basically dead already, you know? Ryuk asked. Naruto's expression turned dark. If Gaara is truly dead, then I'll kill Deidara, Naruto promised vengefully as he grabbed his scythe from his back before landing and jumping to the next branch. Ryuk merely chuckled before flying along silently after Naruto. After a few seconds, Naruto felt a large pulse of chakra, causing him to look up into the sky. Deidara was standing on top of a bird, dive-bombing down towards the group with 3 other birds of much smaller size around him, as his hand held another piece of clay, causing Naruto's eyes to widen. That's not good, Naruto thought as he leapt up high from the next branch. Naruto formed a cross seal, forming a group of shadow clones that instantly transformed to be a large ninja shuriken falling through the air around Naruto. The blonde gripped the massive battle shuriken one at a time, pitching them as fast as he could ahead. Deidara glanced to his right just in time to see the first of the shuriken nearly hit his bird before the next shuriken hit the clay bird behind him, throwing all of the birds off their flight pattern and forcing Deidara to leap away as he sent his randomly exploding birds to fall. Naruto scowled as Deidara and his attacks fell out of sight, causing a few massive explosions. Naruto landed heavily on the ground, rolling with the momentum before jumping up into the branches again. Boom! Naruto looked up with wide eyes as a massive explosion occurred, easily enough to have destroyed a village or a township, but to Naruto's surprise, the explosion began to shrink the moment it took form, nullifying the shockwave and any damage in a mere second. Naruto paused for a moment as profound silence surrounded the area. What the hell? Naruto mumbled as he slowly marched towards the clearing of the explosion. It was sunrise the next morning. The orange haze of the morning light lit up the sandy deserts, reaching over the massive dunes to find large walls that surrounded the largest township in the land of Wind, Sunagekure. The gate guard looked up as he saw a group of silhouettes walking around the last sand dune, his face going pale as he recognized what he was seeing. No, he muttered silently as he stared at the people in the distance. He snapped to realization before turning and jogging a few steps over to the wall, pulling on a rope that reached all the way to the top. A bell sounded softly across the village's east-facing gate and its surrounding areas, causing many of the alive ninja to begin spreading the word of the return of the Kazekage. The people gathered, moving in large groups towards the gate, which slowly began to open as Baki and Tamari stood at the front of the collection of people. Kakashi led the walk through the gate, his team walking behind him as he bowed to Baki before looking at Tamari in the eyes. I'm sorry, but our mission failed, Kakashi said, panting between breaths as he was barely able to stand. The village was quiet as many ninjas and civilians looked at Naruto, standing hunched over as he held the corpse of his friend on his back. And Gaara's face lay slack. Naruto's was empty of any emotion, though a continuous stream of tears were flowing from his dead-looking eyes. He marched slowly and quietly up to Kakashi's side, locking eyes with Tamari as he moved Gaara into view. Tamari, Naruto began, but trailed off as he had no idea what to say. Tamari stared at Gaara's face for a moment, reaching out to touch his cheek as tears began to well up in her eyes. Poof! Step away from the Kazekage's body, the leader of the squad of 5 Suna Anbu said as he appeared between Tamari and Naruto. The civilians burst into an uproar as they moved to see Gaara and Tamari. So the Anbu commander turned to Kakashi and Naruto. Follow me, you two only, he ordered before leaping up onto a nearby building. Kakashi Kakashi moved to usher Naruto ahead, but the blonde's eyes were still deadlocked with Tamari's, as both of their eyes held tears of pain. Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and jumped away, getting Naruto's attention and making him follow as he carried Gaara away. Landing on the roof, the two Leaf Ninja followed the Anbu down a flight of stairs, leading the two of them to an underground tunnel that they walked through for nearly 5 minutes before coming to the 7th floor, leading them up another flight of stairs that led them out of a tunnel behind the Kage mansion. "This way," the Anbu said before taking a big leap onto a balcony and continuing jumping up to the roof. Kakashi and Naruto followed dutifully behind, coming to a stop at the top of the mansion to come face to face with two older people. The woman stepped forward first. "Please, let me examine his body. I may be able to help," she said urgently. Kakashi turned to Naruto. "You can trust her, Naruto. This is Lady Chiyo, an honored elder of the Hidden Sand," Kakashi explained. Naruto stayed still as he glared deeply into Chiyo's eyes for a few seconds. "Fine," Naruto said, gently grabbing Gaara's body off his back so that he could lay him down on the prepared mat gently. Chiyo knelt down to Gaara as Naruto stayed on his knees by the redhead's side, watching as Chiyo formed hand seals and placed her hands on Gaara's heart and head. After a few seconds, Chiyo sighed sadly. "It's too late. His brain function won't return even if I could bring him back at this stage," she said to the old man standing back a step. The old man nodded. "I see then. I'll go contact my apprentice and see if he'll join the council to keep them in line," he said as he turned, disappearing into a wisp of wind as he did so. Naruto's head fell even further as he heard someone actually say it out loud. "Gaara is dead," Naruto whispered to himself. Chiyo looked over Gaara's corpse and frowned at Naruto. "Yeah, and you're not. Get up and do what you can do to make sure he didn't die in vain. Don't waste your time moping over the past. We have the entire afterlife to do that," she said seriously. Naruto nearly growled as his slitted eyes glared at Chiyo. "He's not just someone I can forget," Naruto said deeply. Kakashi placed a comforting hand on Naruto's shoulder, just in case, as Chiyo smirked at Naruto. "We got your messenger bird. I know that you and the other Jonin killed Sasori. Do you know who he was to me?" she asked calmly. Naruto scoffed. "I don't care who he was to you. Sasori Ryuketsu is the name of the monster that had a hand in killing my friend," Naruto said, though his voice broke as he spoke about Gaara, looking down at the corpse. "You lost a friend," Chiyo began, gesturing to Gaara. "I lost a grandson, the last of my blood other than my brother. I also lost a leader and an inspirational genius," Chiyo said, staring down into Naruto's eyes. "And an entire village just lost their hope." Realization seemed to punch Naruto in the gut as he stared at Chiyo, suddenly realizing the pain he was feeling was being felt by a whole village. But the first people who came to mind for Naruto was Temari and Kankuro. Naruto stood on shaky feet. "I'm going to see Kankuro." "He's still in the hospital?" Naruto asked with a coarse voice as he turned away from Gaara. Chiyo nodded, even though Naruto couldn't see her. "Yes, observational care for now, room 17, she explained. Naruto nodded. "Sensei?" Naruto asked. Kakashi just nodded. "Go ahead, I'll get Sakura to get us a hotel, while Yamato and I make our reports," Kakashi said. Naruto nodded again, his face once more becoming devoid of all emotions, except this time, tears actually stopped prying their way free. "Till later then," he said before leaping up and off the building. Kakashi sighed. "Elder Chiyo, what do you need from me?" Kakashi asked. Chiyo looked at Kakashi seriously for a moment before nodding to herself, as if deciding something. "I will call a council meeting with the elders, as invited as well. You and the other Jonin will give your mission reports, then be notified of what will be done with the Gaara," Chiyo said. Kakashi nodded, seemingly acting very serious in the situation. "Alright, I'll wait until I'm notified. After that, if we are no longer needed, we'll return to the Hidden Leaf, Kakashi said before bowing to Chiyo in farewell. Hold on, Chiyo said, begging Kakashi pause. I am told that you and your team member Naruto know more of these Akatsuki. One thing that I know is that we all want them eradicated, and we will give any help in seeing their destruction. We need him to come to the meeting as well, she said with a deep anger in the undertone of her voice as she looked down at the ground. Kakashi stayed in his bow, knowing that Chiyo was having a hard time controlling her anger. Yes, ma'am, he said simply before standing tall and taking out his book. Poof! Naruto opened the door to Kakuro's room, stepping to the side as soon as he saw the occupants. Go ahead, Sakura, Naruto said. Sakura quickly ran into the room. Sorry, Temari, but I had to check his condition right now, considering what happened, Sakura said, ushering her out of the room. Temari was so stunned that she wasn't able to talk back or reply until the door was closed in her face. Temari's hand shakily lifted up, resting against the doorframe as she looked down at her toes. Naruto stood calmly in the middle of the hallway, watching the blonde-haired girl's life slowly fall to pieces. Gaara wouldn't want her to act this way. Maybe I can help her move on somehow, he thought as he glanced down the hallway to the left. Naruto's eyes narrowed at the small group of people staring at them. Damn it, Naruto thought angrily as he saw them pointing and staring at Temari. Naruto turned back to the girl only for his knees to widen as he watched her knees buckle. He moved quickly, catching her against the chest with one arm while grabbing her fan in the other. It was less than 20 seconds later that Naruto opened the door to another hospital room, though this one was empty. Naruto led Temari over to the bed and sat her on the edge of it, placing Tamari's fan down on the bedside table as he rubbed her back. You'll be okay, Temari, Naruto said coarsely, clearing his throat as he heard the gravelly sound of it. Temari shook her head, her tears pouring steadily as she held herself up, leaning off Naruto. My youngest brother is dead, and by the looks of things, my other brother might not make it either, she said before looking up into Naruto's eyes. How can anything ever be okay again? She asked before she fell back into her sobbing fit. Naruto didn't know the girl too well, but he wanted to comfort her as best he could. Don't you worry, Gaara. No matter what happens, I'll take care of your family, Naruto promised mentally as he pulled Temari into a hug. Temari paused in her tears for a moment before she truly began to sob, her sadness echoing around the room as Naruto held her safely in his arms. He rested his chin on her head as he began to feel her tears stain his shirt. Temari gasped for her air between sobs, trying her best to pull herself together, even though she had just lost one of her brothers, and the other was not in good condition. Without them, I'm all alone. Why? Gaara, Kakuro, please come back, she thought sadly. Naruto sat silently, rubbing her back comfortingly as time rolled by. Nearly 2 hours passed before Temari's tears began to slow, and 2 minutes after that, Naruto glanced up at the noise of someone knocking on the door. He closed his eyes in concentration for a second as Temari was still in his arms. Poof! A shadow clone appeared to their right, smirking silently as it was formed nearly perfectly without Naruto having to use hand seals. It immediately walked over to the door, opening it a fraction so that it could peek out while keeping Naruto and Temari's privacy. The real Naruto watched on as his clone talked with the person outside. He frowned when he noticed the clone's stunned and sad expression, and nodded and closed the door silently before looking at the ground sadly. Naruto looked down as well. Damn, I guess he didn't make it, Naruto thought with a heavy sigh. Poof! The clone dispersed, giving Naruto the memories of the conversation, which he tried to focus on, finding it quite easy to do, but making a loud pop that snapped Temari out of her already slow tears. Temari sat up tall and cleared throat. Sorry about that. What was that? she asked, seeing the smoke of the clone dissipating. Naruto frowned as he thought about what he should do. She's going to find out anyway. At least, I know she feels safe with me for some reason. So, I guess I'm gonna tell her. He thought with a sigh before turning to face Temari full on. Temari felt his gaze and looked to him, showing him her bloodshot eyes and red cheeks. "Naruto?" she asked. Naruto cleared his throat. "While we were here, Sakura was trying to heal Kankuro and extract the poison. But we were too late," Naruto said. Temari's face was frozen, her eyes wide as tears filled them once more. "Kankuro, he's dead, too?" Temari asked, her voice trembling. Naruto nodded. Temari just closed her eyes and looked down at the bed. "Temari, Gaara was someone I considered a brother. So, that makes you my sister in a way," Naruto began, making Temari look up at him. "I've been on a training mission, so all my things are still packed in here in a storage scroll," Naruto said, patting his ninja pouch. "I could, stay here for a while and help you through this if you need it." Naruto offered, hoping to repay some of what he considered his debt to Gaara. Temari's tears welled up again, and she threw herself at Naruto, wrapping around his neck in a hug. "Thank you, Naruto, but how do I manage without them? Gaara was the Kazekage and Kankuro was the head of the Hunter Ninja Division. They were major leaders in this village. I can't help that. What do we do?" she begged. Naruto shook his head. "Temari, it isn't your burden to bear. All you need to focus on is getting back to your life. Take small steps and take the pain when it hits. Don't hide what you feel, but don't stop doing what you need to do, okay?" he asked, trying to remember how Ayame seemed to be able to return to everyday life near instantly, though she was still affected greatly. Temari looked up at Naruto, feeling weak and defeated. "Jeez, I've never seen her so defeated. She's usually the strongest chick around most of the time," Naruto thought. Temari took a moment to stop her tears before looking at Naruto in the eyes. "And you'll stay for a while to guide me?" she asked. Naruto hesitated for a moment. "Well, I guess I actually could. What's a month here after 3 years of being away?" he thought before nodding. "Yes, Temari, I'll stay with you as long as you need me to," he promised. Temari smiled at Naruto and stood up off the bed. "Okay then," she said as she wiped her tears on her sleeves. "I'll go talk to the council. Is there anything you need me to do for the next couple hours?" she asked him before clearing her throat since her voice was so raspy. Naruto thought for a moment before nodding. "I'll need to inform Kakashi-sensei that I will be staying here for a while. Think of it as a free training mission. I'll take care of my own fees," Naruto said as he stood up as well. Temari's smile grew. "Okay then," she began as she walked to the door. "Let's get going then," Temari said before stepping out the door and turning left. Naruto stepped out after her and went to turn right before hesitating and facing Temari. "Where can I meet you again?" Naruto asked. Temari waved her hand. "The building 2 doors down from the main entrance of the Kazekage Tower, number 496. On the eastern main road. Just get there at some point, and if I'm not back there, I will be eventually. Is that okay?" she asked, turning back for a moment. Naruto grinned. "Yeah, that's great," he said. The two shared one more smile before turning and walking opposite ways. Naruto to find Sakura or Kakashi and Temari to go see was to be done by the council. Naruto paused and looked over his shoulder once more as Temari turned the corner. Maybe I shouldn't have promised that before talking to Kakashi-sensei, Naruto thought before turning and continuing to the stairwell on the eastern side of the hospital. When Kakashi had come to the room, he explained to the clone that Kankuro didn't make it, and that when he was ready, he was to come up and meet Sakura, Yamato, and himself on the rooftop. So that's where Naruto was heading. Walking Walking up the stairs, Naruto paused and turned, looking up as he realized he was alone. Ryuk, Naruto said softly. Ryuk chuckled darkly as he sunk out from the stairwell above his head, standing on it as if he wasn't on the ceiling. What is it, Naruto? Ryuk asked. Naruto smirked. Did you know Kankuro was going to die when you first saw him? Can you tell as a god of death? Naruto asked. Ryuk chuckled and began walking down the steps, causing Naruto to continue climbing the staircase at a slow walk, as Ryuk continued to talk. Yeah, when you left the room with that sobbing girl, I watched the last 123 minutes of his life drip away, second by second, Ryuk said. Naruto sighed. You know, he was a friend of mine. You should show some respect for the deceased, you prick. Naruto nearly growled. Ryuk openly laughed. Respect? Ha! Why would I have any respect for the dead? They got it easy, Ryuk said before covering his mouth. Naruto raised a brow at that. They have it easy? Naruto asked. Ryuk cleared his throat. Forget I said that. So, what did that crying girl want? Ryuk asked. Naruto looked down at his feet. The guy that died on this mission, and the one you watched die. They were Tamari's little brothers, the last of her family, Naruto said sadly. Ryuk paused as his smile actually lessened slightly. Well, I guess I can see how that would affect a human, he muttered before coming to a stop. Naruto looked up at Ryuk and frowned. Because of that, we'll be staying here for a while, Naruto said as he came to a stop, placing his hand on the doorknob to the roof. You know what that means, right? Naruto asked. Ryuk floated down to Naruto's side, laying down sideways in midair. No, what does that mean? Ryuk asked curiously. Naruto smirked as he opened the door, mumbling his reply quietly. Till we get back, there'll be no apples, Naruto said as he walked out. Ryuk blinked for a moment before his whole body jolted. What? He screamed until the door closed in his face. Naruto chuckled softly to himself before looking up, seeing the other Leaf Ninjas standing around or sitting on a table. Hey guys, Naruto said, lifting his hand slightly in a wave. Kakashi looked between Yamato and Sakura, eyes smiling at Naruto. Hey Naruto, how are you feeling? Kakashi asked, knowing that Naruto had just lost someone he cared about. Naruto let the slight smile he held stay in place as he shrugged. You know, as good as it can be considering the current situation, Naruto said in a controlled and steady voice. Kakashi closed his visible eye. Damn it, that's exactly how I managed at the start. If Obito didn't. Kakashi's thoughts trailed off as he sighed, opening his eye again and watching Naruto as he came the last meter or so to them. I'll just do what Guy did for me and work down in the end, Kakashi thought with a slight smirk under his mask. Yamato looked between Naruto and Sakura, who both looked like they were trying to hide how upset they were. So everyone, let's get down to business. We can rest when we return, Yamato said. Kakashi and Sakura nodded. Yes, I need to go home, she said sternly, almost angrily. Naruto sighed. Sorry, but I didn't leave on the same mission you did. You guys aren't my commanding officers, and as such, I need to fulfill my mission, Naruto said, looking off to the side, emotionlessly. Everyone jolted at that, though it was Kakashi who spoke. What do you mean, Naruto? He asked as he stood up off the table. Naruto looked Kakashi in the eye, solidifying his decision to try and act like his own leader. My mission was to do what was best for my friend, and with his departure, his best interest would be with the last member of his family. So, he said, taking a deep breath, I'll be staying here for at least a month. I haven't actually registered back on the mission board yet, so it's no problem, I think. Can you pass the word on to Granny for me? Naruto asked as he turned away, heading to the rail at the side of the building. The two Jonin stared in stunned silence as Naruto leapt from the building, landing on a lower balcony before retreating to a ground level again. but Sakura threw her hands up in anger. "Oh, what the hell, Naruto?" she shouted, about to chase after him. Kakashi's hand clasped on her shoulder tightly. "Hold on, the both of you," Kakashi said, causing the two of them to stay still and turn to him. "Maybe, I know someone has to report to Tsunade by Wednesday. Okay, I guess I get a holiday," Kakashi thought before eye-smiling at his two associates. "Yamato, our squad is splitting up. As my squadron in command, you are in charge of the second squadron. Your job is to head back to the Leaf Village and report to Lady Tsunade with Sakura. Also, inform her that it was my decision that we stay here for around a month to help the village stabilize after the loss of their Kazekage. I'll stay and keep watch over Naruto. Besides, we were asked to attend a meeting tomorrow morning with this village's council," Kakashi ordered. Yamato and Sakura looked at him in shock. "Sensei, you can't be serious. Just get him so we can go home," she shouted, thinking what Naruto was doing was stupid, while Yamato's expression turned to be one of understanding. Yamato frowned. "Yes, sir. Sakura, we leave now. You have 10 minutes before we meet at the gate. Refill your canteens where you can," he said before forming a few hand seals. "Let's go." Poof. The smoke blew away to show that Yamato was gone, causing Sakura to stare at Kakashi again. "Sensei?" she asked. Kakashi pointed towards the main gate of the village. "The store closest to the gate is a massive watery for the village. Water costs a bit more here, but you'll get repaid when you report your spending back at the village," Kakashi said before holding a single-handed seal. "Sorry, Sakura, but it needs to be done." Poof. Sakura stood in stunned silence as the smoke blew away. She blinked owlishly before groaning. "Why me?" she complained before turning and jogging to the trail. Naruto landed and walked down a nearby alleyway to hopefully get some privacy so that he could clear his head. "Okay, Tamari needs me right now, but I need to return the village within the month. Maybe I can convince her to come back with me or something," Naruto thought before sighing and shaking his head. "No, she needs me more than I need to be in the leaf right now. I'll just help her until she's able to hold herself up again," Naruto thought to himself before his eyes widened and he paused in silence. "Hold on, I never saw what happened after Hiyashi died. Shit," Naruto thought as he leaned back against the wall, feeling a chakra pulse next to him. Poof. Kakashi eye-smiled as he arrived, though he still looked exhausted. "Naruto, though you may have heard what the other two had to say, you didn't in fact get our next orders, so if you could, listen up," Kakashi said in a friendly manner. Naruto relaxed slightly as he let a slight smile move onto his face. "Yes, Sensei, what's up?" Naruto asked. Kakashi seemed to relax even more upon realizing that he wouldn't have to have an argument of some sort. "You and I are going to stay here for a while to assist in the settling of village affairs while there's no Kazekage. Our first duty is to attend a council meeting that is happening tomorrow in this village to report the details on our two battles against each Akatsuki member," Kakashi explained. Naruto's eyebrows rose in interest. "Oh, that's good. I have to promise to keep while we're here," Naruto said. Kakashi tilted his head curiously. "And what would that be?" he asked. Naruto smiled sadly. "Everyone is so focused on losing Gaara and Kankuro that they don't see it, but I couldn't miss it," Naruto began before taking a deep breath. "Tamari, she is literally no one left now," Naruto said softly. Kakashi blinked twice before looking down. Tamari. Had somewhat slipped my mind," Kakashi said under his breath. Rather than stand in an awkward silence, Naruto thought up a question. "So, where are we staying, exactly?" Naruto asked, though he was pretty sure he had an idea. "Probably the ninja barracks, the upper class, and at least," Kakashi said. Naruto sighed. "Yay, a little tent inside a warehouse. Sounds comfortable," Naruto said with a sigh while reaching up and scratching the back of his head. Kakashi's eye followed the movement, landing his gaze on Naruto's side. Well, Naruto, I have been asked by Lady Chiyo to help assist her with something, so you have a few hours free before I'll come get you again, Kakashi explained as he reached into his pouch. Naruto smiled. Perfect, but how are you gonna find me? He asked, thinking that now he could grab a decent takeaway meal before heading over to hopefully see Temari. Kakashi buried his face in his notebook as he walked past Naruto. One of my summons will be able to track you down in less than an hour, no matter where you are in the village. And when we see each other, I think we both have some questions for each other, Kakashi finished as he walked away, though he raised his hand free in a gesture as he waved behind himself to Naruto. Later, Naruto smirked at his sensei's retreating back. Later, sensei, Naruto said. Turning away from his sensei, Naruto glanced out one end of the alleyway, spotting the tip of a sign that Naruto was familiar with. Huh, Naruto thought as he jogged over to see the whole sign. Ichiraku's ramen bar, Naruto asked indiscreetly as he looked at what was basically a slightly brown-tinged version of his favorite food stand. Naruto lifted the flaps as he walked in, his jaw dropping as the waitress turned to him. Hi, my name is Ayame Ichiraku. What can I get for you? A blonde version of Ayame Ichiraku asked cheerfully. Naruto just blinked in shock for a few moments of silence. Don't suppose you guys do a double chicken miso combo ramen with extra Narutos on it? Naruto asked. Ayame smiled. Sure do. That's very similar to Light's usual order, but he always gets an extra soy instead, she said with a chuckle. Naruto sat down at the bar, a few chairs down from the guy apparently known as Light. Naruto smiled at the man who barely looked like he could finish a sandwich. Good choice, Naruto commented with a smile. Light glanced at Naruto and smiled. Thanks. So, you here to learn about wind chakra too? He asked with a sigh. Naruto blinked in confusion. Huh? He asked in confusion. Light raised a brow as he watched Naruto for a moment of silence, though he smirked a second later. You honestly don't know who I am. That's a nice change, Light said as a bowl was placed in front of him. Naruto couldn't help it. For some reason, memories of this time being glared at by everyone flashed through his brain. Yeah, you know, it really is, Naruto said, turning around and realizing what was so different about the oddly comforting village. No one here hates me, Naruto thought as he smiled, not receiving any glares from people he never met. Here you go, kid. Naruto turned back with a smile up at the person who gave him his food. Thanks, old man, Naruto exclaimed on instinct before going to apologize, and realizing that it was no surprise he mistook this man for the old man back in Konoha. The blonde version of Teiuchi smiled at Naruto, though he had a small scar on his chin. There was almost no difference to the original. No worries. It's great to get new customers, especially when they're as enthusiastic as you are, kid, he said cheerily. Naruto just grinned with a laugh before he continued eating his food. Light blinked and smiled slightly. Looks like there's someone here that finally has some good taste, he thought, before catching Ayame's gaze and nodding to their fridge. She smiled and nodded as she grabbed what he wanted. Feeling a hand clasped on his shoulder, Naruto pulled his face out of his bowl and looked up at Light. For the first time, really getting a look at the oddly thin man's chest. Take this, kid. The instant cups in this village ain't too great, but the old man's special recipe sauce fix it right up for you, Light said as he placed a small bottle from Ayame in front of Naruto. Naruto blinked at the bottle in shock before his eyes narrowed as he shifted away from Light. Look, I know we're allied ninjas and all, and I don't mean to be harsh, but there's a lot of people who are out looking for me, so I can't accept anything that might be poison, Naruto said honestly. Light blinked before sighing and leaning back while picking up the small bottle and popping off the lid and letting a few drops drip into his own ramen. Yeah, unfortunately, I know that feeling, he said as he stirred into his food. "No worries from me," Light said as he began to eat the ramen with a renewed vigor. Seeing that the bottle was in fact not poisoned, Naruto hesitantly picked it up and had a look at it, seeing an ingredient list that had some words he didn't know. A few herbs and a smiley face. Sorry, I guess, but what's with the smiley face? Naruto asked. Light chuckled as Ayami explained the story. Dad came up with the new ingredients, but it hadn't been named in the Food Atlas Encyclopedia, so he let me name it, she said with a smile and a shrug. I was 3, so I just drew a happy face, she said with a chuckle. Naruto nodded before seeing the multiple bottles sitting in a small fridge in the counter. Oh cool, Naruto said before adding a few drops to his own ramen. Ayami and Light watched as Naruto stirred the sauce into his ramen, before taking a mouthful and inhaling it in one quick movement. His eyes widened as he slowly turned back to the other two. This is, without a doubt, the food of the gods. 19 bowls later, Naruto stepped out of the noodle hut alongside his newfound friend Light. Thanks man, this is great, Naruto said as he held up a bottle of Ichiraku's special sauce in each hand. Light nodded. No worries, it's my pleasure to help out, Light said with a smile before his body stiffened. Light turned his back to Naruto, and Naruto suddenly felt the incoming chakra signatures as well. So not knowing who it was, he stood back to back with Light while forming a quick one-handed seal. Poof! Light, one of the Sand Anbu addressed as he and 4 others surrounded the two of them. Your presence is required, he said, already reaching for his short sword. Naruto glanced over his shoulder. Oi, Light, what's going on? Naruto asked. Light just smirked. Well, it's a long story, Light said with a slight chuckle. Naruto raised a brow. And that story is, he asked. Light, calm your chakra and let us take you, another Anbu shouted as he stood defensively. Naruto raised a brow as he noticed their body language. Well, they all seem pretty confident that they don't have a chance against him. Maybe he's more dangerous than I thought, Naruto wondered as he went to look behind him again. Seeing that the person covering Light's back was looking away, one of the Anbu simply moved their fingers and made a puppet shoot at Naruto from a nearby alleyway. Light turned to meet Naruto's gaze, only for his eyes to snap towards the puppet just as Naruto noticed someone attacking Light from the front with another puppet. Light, Naruto, they both exclaimed at the same time as they stepped around the other. Gale Palm! Naruto shouted as he slammed his hand into the puppet's chest and blasting it high into the air. Adverse vacuum! Light shouted as suddenly the puppet and his puppeteer were yanked towards each other and away from him. In the next second, the other Anbu began to charge and Light had placed a hand on Naruto's outstretched palm. Good work, Naruto, Light said as he formed a single-handed seal. Winder! Naruto felt a slight pull and his sight blurred before he found the two of them standing on top of a limp and broken puppet on the other side of the village. Naruto looked around in awe before turning to Light. Light, what was that? Naruto asked. Light smiled slightly. Just what happens when you master wind chakra. I just had the air take us on the same path as the puppet you launched. Light said casually as he looked back towards the slowly approaching Anbu. I think you better get going, though, I gotta say, Light said with a grin towards Naruto as he formed the same one-handed seal. You've got some good wind chakra there, Light said happily. The first Anbu landed. Light, winder! The Anbu sighed as Light blurred back along the same flight path. Damn it, go get him, the leader yelled as he sent the others after their target. They all left as the leader turned to Naruto. Hey, you're one of the least shinobi, right? He asked as he sheathed his weapon. Naruto relaxed as the man put his sword away. Yeah, I am. Why? Naruto asked. The Anbu shook his head. Look, I'm gonna give you some advice here. Unless you see that guy in the council meeting tomorrow, then I think you should stay away from him, the Anbu said seriously. He's dangerous. Poof. Naruto sighed as he looked down. Jeez, the Anbu in our village had the same line when it came to hanging out with me. Naruto muttered as he turned away from the slowly dissipating smoke cloud. Leaping down off the building, Naruto heard 2 more pairs of feet hit the rooftop. "Whoa, my puppet!" someone exclaimed. Naruto couldn't hold in the laugh that escaped as he began to walk calmly back towards the center of the village. Looking around, Naruto saw a small, red-haired boy run past and take his mother's hand before the two continued on, causing Naruto to smile sadly. That's when you protected Gaara. All these people, it's Kazekage. They were your family too, Naruto thought before continuing on, slowly beginning to admire the odd structures of the village. Not a single scratch from one of Deidara's ultimate attacks. As he approached the Kage Tower, there was a large empty space, which looked to be a market ground that had been packed up for the day, causing Naruto to look up at the sky and notice that it was nearing nighttime. Jeez, how did I miss that? He thought with a sigh. "Hey Naruto." Naruto turned towards the voice and smiled down at the little pug that approached him. "Hey Pakun, what's the plan?" Naruto asked. Pakun slid to a stop at Naruto's feet. "The plan is Kakashi has your rooms at the hotel," Pakun said with a nod towards a large building behind the Kage Tower. "The one with the big kanji for a wind on it," Pakun said. Naruto nodded with a smile. "Awesome, not the barracks. What room?" Naruto asked as he turned back to Pakun, only for a single key with a tag on it to smack him in the chin. Pakun chuckled as Naruto fumbled to catch the key. "Room 76, and Kakashi is next door in 78. Got it?" Pakun asked. Naruto nodded as he noticed the 76 on the tag of the keys. "Got it. Thanks," Naruto said. Pakun nodded in return. "No worries, kid." Poof. Naruto glanced ahead, realizing how close he was to the tower before jogging ahead through the market. Coming out on the other side, Naruto looked at the numbers in the nearby buildings. 490, 492, 494, Naruto thought before smirking as he came to a stop. 496, Naruto muttered to himself as he took a look at the structure of the building. The building was pretty small in comparison to the massive government buildings that surrounded it, but it basically looked like a 3-story version of the Kazekage mansion. Naruto stepped up to the property and placed a hand on the gate. Schling. Naruto stepped back, dodging the swipe that would have made a swallow cut on his nose if he hadn't moved. The Anbu member took a warning stance. "What reason you have here?" he asked tensely. Naruto glanced at the Anbu, about to tell him off. "Oh my god, fuck off, Dante." The Anbu dropped his stance completely as he turned to the house. "Eh? Tamari, let me handle this," the Anbu says he dropped out of character. Naruto looked at the masked ninja with an appalled look on his face. "Who the hell is this guy, Anbu? I even managed to sense and dodge him," Naruto muttered to himself. "Eh?" Dante shouted angrily as he turned back to Naruto. Tamari sighed as she walked out of the house. "Hey Dante," she said calmly. The Anbu turned. "Gah!" he shouted as Tamari kicked him in the nuts. Naruto watched with wide eyes as the man fell to the ground, only snapping back to the situation as Tamari grabbed his hand and pulled him towards the house. Later, Dante," Naruto said. My code name is Bucket. Slam." Naruto stared at the closed door in front of him in shock. Did he just say Bucket, like his Anbu tag is Bucket? Naruto asked Tamari as he turned to her, finally seeing what she was wearing. Her hair was up in its usual 4 pigtails, but instead of her black combat dress, she was wearing a tightly tied shut summer robe and slippers. Naruto couldn't help but notice the rather obvious bra strap, being the only other piece of clothing on her that was visible. Tamari smiled slightly at Naruto. "Yeah, he did," she said before looking down. Naruto followed her gaze and realized that she was still holding onto her hand. He quickly let go and scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. Sorry," Naruto muttered as he mentally snapped himself. "Snap out of it. She's your sister and she needs help. Focus," he thought to himself before smiling at her in a friendly manner. Tamari shook her head as she smiled back. "No worries. I'll just... Lady Tamari." Tamari groaned and turned to the maid that ran into the empty room. The woman didn't even give Tamari the time to respond. "Tanaka is here." Tamari groaned again as a young man in a sandy brown suit waltzed into the room. "Tamari, today you look..." "Who's this?" Naruto whispered to her as the man continued to walk in the background. Tamari looked up at Naruto, letting him notice how tired her eyes looked. "I'm basically royalty in this village, and all these guys want to marry me for it," she said as she began to walk up to Tanaka. "I've even brought you a portrait of your dead brother Kakuro so that you'll remember him," Tanaka exclaimed as Tamari was about to walk past it. Bam! Even Naruto winced at the heavy impact for a fan against his skull. Naruto blinked at the unconscious man as Tamari turned to the maid. "Close it all down. Messages through envelope only," Tamari ordered. The seemingly simple maid pulled her sleeve up to show a seal that she began talking into as she dragged Tanaka's unconscious body towards the door with her other arm. Naruto blinked in shock and confusion until the door closed. There was a few tense moments of silence as Naruto turned back to Tamari, who gestured for him to follow her. "So, Naruto," she said slowly as she led him to the kitchen. Can you tell me what happened?" she asked softly. Naruto's brow burrowed. Tamari wasn't there when he was, taken. I only arrived afterwards," Naruto said sadly. Tamari nodded quickly as they arrived at a small bench sticking out from the wall of the kitchen area. "Yeah, I am." She shook her head. I've been given the job of taking a preliminary report from you tonight, so I wanted to hear about your fight," Tamari said hesitantly. Naruto smirked, realizing that Tamari might have been feeling uncomfortable. He didn't blame her, because if she could hear what Ryuk was saying about her dirty house, she'd probably be pissed off. Then again, she has no idea he's here, so it's just me, Naruto thought. Tamari gestured for Naruto to take a seat at the bench as she walked around it to fix something for the two of them. "So, can you tell me what happened?" she asked again. Naruto simply nodded as he sat down. "Okay, well, the actual fight was pretty quick. With my clones overwhelming him, Sasori Ryuketsu was on the defensive the whole time. Then the Jonin with me forced Sasori into a position where I could get to him, and I killed him," Naruto said with a shrug. "It wasn't so much a battle as it was us constantly attacking a mobile target, since the only counterattacks that landed were on my clones. Then we went to follow Deidara after I grabbed a few things," Naruto said before muttering the last part to himself. Tamari raised her brow as she sat a beer down in front of Naruto, causing him to raise a brow as she began to drink directly from her own bottle before talking. "Don't think I'm an idiot, Naruto." "What things?" she asked. Naruto smiled as he picked up the drink he was given, never having had this stuff before. He hesitated slightly before deciding to answer her first. "I'm not trying to hide anything, Tamari. I just figured it'd be best to keep this part a secret until I can give it directly to the council or Kage or whatever," Naruto said. Tamari had brought her drink up for another mouthful, but paused when Naruto mentioned Kage. She just looked down at the bottle quietly, making Naruto realize that it probably wasn't best to bring up anything to do with her brothers. He bit his lip before looking down at his drink and shrugging as he raised it to his lips. Tamari looked up as she heard a grunt. Seeing Naruto twist his face as he took his first mouthful of beer. "Had a drinker?" she asked, hoping that they had something else he'd enjoy. Naruto shrugged. "Actually, I've just never had anything that wasn't sake before. This is, different," Naruto said, as he looked at the drink in hand before he looked at Tamari and took the opportunity given to speak. "So, what would you usually be doing right now? Anything I can help with?" Naruto asked, politely. Tamari shook the shock from her mind. "He's never even had a beer? Jeez, what do they do for fun in Konoha?" she thought to herself as she tried to distract herself by thinking about what she'd usually be doing. "By now, I'm usually training out the back. Nothing heavy, just keeping in shape," she said with a shrug before drinking the last of her beer. Naruto blinked as he watched Temari grab another one from the fully stocked bar fridge. Cool, he said, wondering if the Sabaku family were alcoholics. What training do you do? He asked as he took a second mouthful. She smiled as she opened her second and kicked the fridge shut behind her. Mostly wind chakra training with my fan. That doubles as both chakra control and physical considering how heavy the thing is, she said with a nod towards her fan on the bench top. Naruto nodded with a grin. Oh yeah, you used heaps of wind techniques when you were younger. She realized you have wind affinity, Naruto said. Temari tilted her head as she picked up on the hidden meaning to his words. Oh, you're a wind user too. But I thought Konoha had no wind users, she asked. Naruto nodded as he took another mouthful. Not exactly. As far as I know, there's only me and Asuma-sensei. He's the teacher of Shikamaru. Don't mention that fucker's name to me again, Temari said with a scowl. Naruto raised a brow. Shikamaru Naro? What could he have done that's so bad? Naruto asked, not believing that Shikamaru was capable of something bad, let alone putting in the effort. Temari sighed and looked up at Naruto before her shoulders sagged. I was going to say it's a secret, but now that my brother isn't here to make a war out of it, she said with a sad sigh. She placed her drink down and hugged herself around the chest. Naruto's eyes widened. That's exactly how? No way, Naruto thought before second-guessing his own thoughts. Temari looked up at Naruto with tears in her eyes. He is the diplomat for the next Chunin exams. I've had to work with him, and thus we've spent a lot of time together inside and outside the villages, she said quietly. He, took advantage of that stupid hormonal needs, she said in nearly a whisper. Naruto closed his eyes and took a shaky breath. Shikamaru? What the fuck, man? Naruto thought in his head. Not sure what else to think or say until he remembered their previous topic. So let's not talk about that until you feel like you're ready for it, he said. Temari looked up at Naruto and blinked widely. Okay, she said softly. Naruto stood and made a show of downing the rest of his drink as fast as he could before slamming the bottle down on the bench. So you'd normally be training, yeah? Naruto asked rhetorically as he picked up Temari's fan, grunting at the effort. Do you have a lighter one for training? That might strain you a little, Naruto said as he held it out to Temari with two hands. Temari chuckled and forgot about the rest of her drink in favor of showing off as she easily picked up her fan with one hand. This is the light training fan, Naruto, she said before walking past him and on her way towards a large glass door. Naruto's jaw nearly dropped at hearing that, but he quickly turned and began to follow her. She reached for the handle, only for Naruto's hand to rest on top of hers on the doorknob. Temari, if you don't want to do this and you want to just curl up and have a break for a while, I understand. Don't put up a tough act for me, okay? Naruto asked quietly and sincerely. Temari felt a shiver as the gravity of his words hit her. She only realized that she hadn't replied to him for almost half a minute when he took his hand away. She shook her head slightly. Thank you, Naruto, she said softly as she looked down. After a few seconds more of hesitation, she opened the glass door and led the way out. Naruto smirked slightly as she walked outside. Getting stronger already, he thought as he followed her out and surveyed the backyard. It easily took up half of the property, looking like a barren training field except for the greenhouse that took up one corner of the yard. Other than that, just sand, cement, and dirt. Will they ever get sick of this? Naruto wondered to himself as he followed after Temari. Temari took a seat on one of the wide flat stones and motioned for Naruto to sit with her. So, Mr. Rare Wind Affinity, what manipulation levels have you learned? She asked. Naruto took the offered seat and looked at Temari with a smile. I've mastered the leaf cutting exercise, but I haven't tried anything else yet, Naruto said with a smile. Temari raised her brow. Leaf cutting? That's even hardly classifiable as manipulation. What about your flow? She asked. Naruto blinked in utter confusion. My flow? He asked. Temari sighed as she shook her head. Cunning Leaf only shows control for small, near useless bursts of wind chakra. To really gain good control, you need to be able to do this, she said before she brought her pointer finger up to her lips and blew gently on it. She then moved her finger to the sand before her and used her finger to write her name in the sand. Now, what I just did was like a longer version of leaf cutting, but now that chakra is in the air, I can set a path depending on my control, she explained, not realizing she had lost Naruto. The blonde man blinked as Tamari scooped up some sand and poured it onto her name. Though to Naruto's shock, the sand seemed to be sucked into a small wind funnel that sat over the letters for her name to throw the sand aside and keep the message in place. Whoa, that's way more control than what I have, Naruto thought in amazement. Tamari placed her hand over her name to disrupt the chakra. That is how you use wind flow. The Sand Village uses it as a basic marker out in the desert, she said before looking up at Naruto. This is how to use the other half of your wind chakra, she explained. Naruto blinked. The other half? He asked. Tamari dropped her smile as she raised her brow. Seriously? You don't even know about that? What do they teach you in Leaf about chakra flow? She asked, looking a bit offended for some reason. Naruto shook his head. I think I heard about it once when Pervy Sage explained the Hyuga bloodline to me, Naruto muttered. Tamari's jaw dropped as she stared at Naruto in disbelief. Wow, they wouldn't even teach me any wind jutsu until I at least knew the first 2 stages of each flow, she began before standing up with a heavy sigh. Looks like we're starting from the beginning, she said, as she put her fan on the ground and walked out to the middle of the backyard. Naruto blinked in confusion. Huh? I thought this was your training, he asked in confusion. Tamari shrugged. Changed my mind. I can't just let you handle wind chakra without a safe grip on controlling it. You could kill someone, she explained as she turned to him. Naruto stood up quickly at that. What? Is wind chakra really that strong? He asked, shock evident on his face. Tamari smirked slightly and knelt, picking up a small piece of sandstone between her fingers. She held in one hand and formed a single-handed bird seal with the other. The rock was enshrouded in a wisp of white chakra before it looked like normal again. Tamari made sure Naruto was looking as she dropped the rock. Naruto's jaw dropped as the rock cut through the sandy ground with no trouble. Wind chakra is freaking dangerous, Naruto thought with wide eyes. Tamari laughed at its expression. Yeah, now you get why you need to learn control, she asked. Naruto was pretty smart. He knew that their training would act as a good way for Tamari to use her physical energy up while distracting her from Gaara and Kagero. And not only was it some awesome training, but well, Tamari looked pretty hot in a summer robe. Tamari walked into her backyard under the undisturbed moonlight. It was a normal, everyday thing for her, though she used to be mesmerized by the beauty. Apparently the sky still had the effect on newcomers. A shirtless Naruto lay on his back as he stared up at the literal only cloud in the sky, taking a deep breath as he felt a calm, small amount of wind chakra form in his lungs. He breathed out slowly and calmly, causing the hand-sized windmill on the balcony roof to spin, as if it was caught in a strong breeze. It continued to do this as Tamari came over and sat on one of the stones. You're definitely gifted with wind chakra, Naruto. I'm a bit surprised you finished step 1 in only a few hours, though. How did those 5 clones help? Tamari asked. Naruto let his last breath be a sigh of relief as he stopped molding the necessary chakra, causing him to take a single breath and cough slightly as he sat up. My training secret. Most people wouldn't be able to use it, but, well, because of my situation, I can handle the mental strain, Naruto half explained. Tamari merely raised a brow. Wow, your demon helps you? She asked openly. Naruto flinched as though he had been hit before he looked at Tamari, who just kept looking at him and waiting for an answer. Well, the fox keeps me healthy so that it won't die, the same with the physical and mental wounds, Naruto muttered. He was shocked when Tamari didn't react to him talking about the fox other than to frown. I think I'd have preferred Gaara's unstoppable defense rather than take the damage and heal it after, she muttered. in thought before holding another beer out for Naruto. The blonde man took the offered drink and sighed. "Tamari, how many of these have you had?" he asked. Tamari shrugged. "I dunno, no more than usual, I guess. Maybe 13 or 14 bottles," she said absent-mindedly, showing only the slightest signs that she was tipsy. Naruto sighed and rolled his eyes, about to stand up before Tamari spoke again. "So, you didn't really say what the clones did, other than the fact that most people would get mental strain from them?" she asked. Naruto nodded as he sat back and brought the bottle to his lips. "Alright, how long do we train?" Naruto asked. Tamari glanced behind her, making Naruto notice the clock that sat just inside the glass doors. "About 4 or 5 hours, give or take," she mumbled. Naruto nodded. "So, 4 times 6 is 24. I got a full day's training in only a few hours," Naruto said with a smirk. Tamari tilted her head in thought before her eyes widened in realization. "Wait, you know what they learned? Like, as they're doing it or after?" she asked. Naruto's smirk grew, proud of his mastery over the shadow clones. "Once they're done, their memory assimilates in my mind. I made a clone for each idea I had to do the exercise he showed me. And once they all went, I had enough of a grasp of how to balance it out that it worked on my second go," Naruto bragged. Tamari whistled in admiration. "Wow, that's pretty awesome," she said before taking another drink. Poof! Naruto turned towards the house again as the same Anbu that was at her front gate arrived in a shunshin. "Tamari, your presence is requested," Bucket started before looking at and then pointing at Naruto. "What's he still doing here?" Tamari nearly growled at the man as Naruto suddenly felt very self-conscious about not wearing a shirt. "He's going to do me all night. Now what's the message?" she asked as Naruto's gaze snapped towards her in shock. Bucket's stance seemed to falter for a moment before he pointed at Naruto again. "You bastard, what do you think you are, to come here and—" "Dante!" Yanbu flinched as if her shout had punched him in the face. "Council meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Don't be late," Bucket said in a rush. Tamari smiled at Yanbu as she walked past him, pulling Naruto along by the hand. "Got it. Now get out," she said before closing the back door to her house with a slam. Bucket still stood there, looking down at defeat, noticing that he was standing on Naruto's discarded shirt. "Stupid leaf ninja," he muttered, about to kick the shirt in anger. Whoa! Bucket fell over as Naruto's shirt was pulled from underneath him. He landed heavily on his back and looked up at 3 Narutos looking down at him. "Huh? Didn't you just go inside?" Bucket asked as he sat up, seeing there was more than 3 Narutos. The 10 Narutos sighed in unison as the lead clone took the shirt and turned to the others. "Everyone, dispel now. I'll take the shirt to the boss," the clone said as it walked away from Bucket. Bucket growled as the other clones dispelled, making him think that the final clone was the real Naruto himself. "Stupid tree hugger," Bucket shouted as he dove to tackle Naruto. Naruto just looked up and tossed his shirt high before Bucket tackled him. Poof! Bucket fell flat on his face before looking around in confusion. "Huh?" Naruto just nodded silently as he followed Tamari along the second floor of her house. He was wondering if what she had said about him doing her all night was actually about to happen, which kind of scared him in an exciting way when the memories of his 10 secret training clones entered his mind. Naruto's eyes widened as he turned and quickly shoved his hand out one of the small glassless windows, catching his shirt and pulling it back through the window as he placed a hand on the zipper, double-checking that it hadn't opened. It hadn't been. Naruto stepped back in line with Tamari as she glanced back at him. "You okay?" she asked, hearing the sudden quick scuffling but not seeing what it actually was. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I'm good," Naruto said hesitantly before she seemed to stop him in front of her room. Naruto's eyes widened as he realized that it could be her bedroom. "But, I'm not sure if could, Naruto mumbled nervously as he began to blush. Tamari raised a brow as she opened the door, showing a small balcony that she stepped out onto. "Anyway," she started with, cutting off the obviously embarrassed Naruto's words. Since you said that you're staying at the Truants, I figured I'd make your job easier, she said as she gestured to a wire that connected from her balcony up towards the roof of the Kage Tower. Naruto raised a brow at the wire before giving Temari the same look. You do realize I'm obviously missing something here, Naruto said. Temari couldn't help but laugh at Naruto's expression of honest confusion. Wow, okay, this is something I'm not explaining. It'll take way too long, Temari said with a shake of her head. Naruto rolled his eyes, knowing that Temari was tired. No worries, I know how to get there anyways, he lied with a smile. I'll see you later, yeah? At the meeting or something? He asked. Temari nodded. Yeah, see you tomorrow, Naruto, she said. Naruto nodded before deciding to do what he felt was right, even if she mightn't have wanted it. Naruto stepped up and gave Temari a hug, which she immediately returned as she held him close. If you need me, just call. I'll hear you, Naruto promised. Temari smiled softly. Thank you, she whispered softly into his ear. Naruto simply nodded as he let her go. Night, Temari, he said before hopping up onto the rail. Later, Naruto, Temari whispered into the night as Naruto leapt up out of sight. Click. Flicking the light on, Naruto glanced around the small apartment that had been lent out to him. It was one large room with a kitchenette, king single bed, a couple of chairs around a coffee table, and a door that led to the bathroom. Though the thing that had Naruto's attention was that the outer wall was literally glass, meaning Naruto had little to no privacy unless he was in the bathroom. But other than that also meant that he could see Temari's house as well as one of the upper balcony entrances of the Kazekage Tower. Naruto took off his sweaty shirt and tossed it over the back of one of his chairs before approaching the large window and squinted as he looked at Temari's house, seeing that he could perfectly see the balcony he had left from, but not much else. Naruto sighed as he turned back to his room. I could have a shower now, Naruto thought before his eyes landed on the bed. In the morning is good too, he thought with a slight smirk before lying down. Not even a minute later, Naruto was asleep in the sand village. Bastard ignored me all day and just goes to sleep that easily, Ryuk loudly asked himself from his place standing on the coffee table. God, even though he ain't as smart as Light, he definitely has more focus. He managed to keep talking to that girl even though I was yelling at him. Ryuk whined like a child before looking out the glass and shrugging, deciding to look around the new village.